Okay, hello friends. We have a very special guest, my friend, good guy, great guy, and actually one of the baddest cats on earth right now, Joel Taylor. Now,
Hey guys, how are you?
and we're talking about, the popular culture of drumming, how things work, in the industry, in our industry. A lot of times we focus on guys that might be popular within the industry, but there's a lack of focus on guys that are actually doing music. It's really kind of disturbing. It's gotten to the point where it's kind of disturbing. So I asked Joel to do this with me because if you guys don't know Joel, he's one of the workingest cats on earth. Alan Holdsworth, so many guys that he's played with, so many studio sessions and records and stuff. It's just insane. And I haven't seen young drummers talking about Joel, which is crazy to me. So I'm hoping.
Oh, good. I hide out in my studio.
Yes, that's right.
Which is where we're at now.
Yeah, this is Joel's studio, his home studio where he does tracks, and he does tracks for records. How many records have you recorded here?
At least 150, probably closer to 200.
Oh
and
my God!
Tons of TV, movie soundtracks,
Unbelievable.
Video games.
Right.
We can talk about
yeah, we were
that.
talking about that. If you don't know Joel, you really have to check him out because he is one of the best players on earth right now. I've seen him, but we've known each other for so long. Ever since I've known him, he was great. But he's gotten, in the last 20 years, so great. He's so musical. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, unbelievable, fantastic player. Now, what do you need to get to that level of musicianship? One thing is being a drummer, but another thing is being a musician. What off the top of your head can you connect in those two worlds?
Well, knowledge of styles, knowledge of tunes, being super versatile. There's always two ways to go. You can put all your eggs in one basket and just hope for the best that, okay, this one genre, I'm going to be a rock star.
Right.
Happened to one of my good friends, Danny Carey.
Right.
He put, all he wanted to do was, be with his band Tool, and they finally broke. Now they are headlining all the major festivals.
Right.
So it worked for him. For 2,000 other guys, didn't work. Okay?
Right.
I think it's a much easier route to be kind of all around player, a very well-rounded player, be able to read when you have to. A lot of the sessions these days, they just said, well, yeah, we don't have charts, just, so I'll have to chart it myself. I have a, really fast way of doing things.
Yeah.
And, it works for me, but the fact that I know how to read really saves on time.
A lot of time, yeah.
And especially in the studio world.
Right.
Knowledge of songs in the genres that you're studying and you want to, gig in. Networking is a huge one.
As they say in the business world, your network is your net worth. Right. What are your thoughts on if you are like a intermediate to advanced guy and you're out there in the world and you want to get your musicianship up higher than just you come out of the practice room, you're like a drummer, you know what I mean? You don't have a lot of experience with music, what is the first thing you would kind of do?
Well, the first thing, and I mean, the reason I get hired is number one, I listen. I listen to the guys on stage, and I play with them, and I don't make them play with me. So I'm, nobody's time is perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay?
Totally.
So when you're playing with different guys, there's a different feel that's going to happen between each
Right.
rhythm section, each bass player, drummer, relationship, and all the guys in the rhythm section. And so I just try to really be open to whoever I'm playing with, and I try to be supportive and just lay it down for them so they feel comfortable. Then that's what they like.
Yeah.
So they will hire me back for that. I'm not blowing chops.
Right.
Right. I mean, I've got great chops, but
he's got
but I
incredible
don't
chops.
but I don't have to use it. I mean,
Right.
most of the stuff I do these days, except like last night I was at Baked Potato and it was a total blowing gig,
Right.
But most of the stuff I do, it's just about feeling and groove and making everybody feel comfortable.
Now this
So-
is a very difficult thing to explain. I know, and you'll see a lot of the top players. I've got to play with people and stuff, but they never tell you the secret, or at least their approach. Would you say it's an orchestration issue, a structural issue? How you orchestrate on the kit, the function of fills and all that kind of stuff?
Feel in general?
And how would you play with other musicians? And,
Okay.
if you
Well,
can-
it depends. It depends again on the genre.
Yeah.
Say I'm doing an R&B gig, and it's a straight up pocket. I don't care if I feel F-I-L-L
Right. Me?
at all. Yeah, exactly. It ain't. The gig isn't about that. It's to make things groove.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm really going to lock in with the bass player. That doesn't necessarily mean that we play exactly the same thing,
Right.
because a lot of times if the bass player is playing doom gong boom boom gong boom, I might not choose to do that. I might choose to answer him. That leaves a big space for him to go doom boom 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 boom. That's
Right.
my answer, right? So
Right.
I might go boom 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 boom, right? So when you first start playing, and when you're young, you try to do everything the bass does,
Right.
which is one way of doing it, and that's fine. But when you get older, you try and come up with some things that are complementary to those grooves.
Right.
Okay, so that's the way I think these days. And then, I basically try to get lost in that's a poor choice of words.
Lost in the music.
Lost in the music. I want to have a blank slate, and I want to just be channeling vibe, right? And I think that's one of my biggest things. I have really good ears, and I can hear everybody all at once. I can hear what the keyboard player's doing. I hear what the guitar player's doing. I hear what the bass is doing, and I'm tuned into everybody. And it's not like, hey, check me out, you have to come with me.
Right.
I mean, there's a time to do that.
Right.
But when things are gelling, you just want to kind of you're almost up here above, and you're looking down on it. So you're almost out of your body, but you're not. That's when it's really great.
This part is so important because if you'll notice, Joel talks like a musician, He talks about things that musicians talk about, and not necessarily things that, your drummer buddies will talk about. Like paradiddles, I can do paradiddles at this speed, or I can... Man, nobody cares about that.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Drummers care.
Drummers care,
That's
but if
true.
you want to get hired,
No.
these are the things that a top pro will tell you, and it's things that I've been trying to get across in many of the workshops now, and I think it's time to really in the drumming community embrace that whole thing. I was talking to Roy McCurdy. We did another video with him,
Awesome.
and he said the same thing. He was talking about out of body experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and listening and vibe, and that's how musicians talk. And listening and playing. It's such a different thing than like only focusing on drums and rudiments and speed
and never practice on the gig. Your stuff that you practice in the practice room, leave that in the practice room.
Right.
If it comes out naturally, great, but don't force it.
Right.
So now I react to what's happening in the moment on stage. That is what I try to do every night when I play.
Yeah, that is awesome, man. Is there any exercise, that you can think of to help us make this connection between our instrument and the music? I know that's a really weird question, but
no, it's difficult to do it without playing with at least one other person.
Right.
It's really difficult. The best way to do it is to play with somebody else, preferably a bass player and either keyboard or player or a guitar player. So trio would be great.
Right.
And just work on listening to what's going on, and it's a communication.
Yeah.
You have to work on that. As far as practicing that, you can't really practice that. That's the problem. The main thing I find with younger players these days is they're YouTube addicted.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's a visual thing.
Mm.
And it's also an audio thing.
Yeah.
An oral thing. But when I was growing up, when you were growing up, we had to use our imagination.
Right.
And we had to use our ears.
Right.
And really, really listen.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of young people doing that now.
True.
They don't really. I mean, it's I'm listening, but if your eyes are open, then you're not really concentrating like you should be.
That is awesome. Okay.
Okay.
If your eyes are open, you're not concentrating as hard as you.
Because you have to shut that other sense off.
Right.
To really hear
Exactly.
Concentrate on the ears. And music is about ears, not about eyes. Or well,
somehow,
yeah. Unless you're on stage with Rihanna or whatever, then it's about the whole package. But I think we're talking about just
connecting drumming,
musically.
Drumming,
Yeah. I was a trumpet player for the first 12 years of,
Really?
yeah. And I still play. I did 2 records last year doing background. I mean, don't ask me to solo, please. But I can read, I can do background parts, and I have it really helped my musical sense.
These words are gold, okay? Money in your pocket. I don't know how much more closer to the source I can get you guys, but as you see, nothing to do with double bass drum speed or flipping your sticks around or whatever. We are lost in drumming pedagogy. We are kind of lost. We've lost this connection with these kinds of conversations happen, between like friends or musicians. We're at a bar, we're talking about music, but it seems like in the popular drumming culture, we're so disconnected from this stuff. I mean, okay, maybe you don't have a chance to talk to a guy like Joel in your town or wherever you are, but it's so important to realize this. Making this realization is the first thing you need to do to be a great drummer. Yeah?
I agree. I mean, I came from a very small town in Wyoming. There was no music around. I didn't get to see anybody, so I had to use my imagination.
Right.
as to, you know, I didn't have a teacher. Just I listened. I figured out how to do it. There were, you know, from time to time I could see some players would come through, but it was not so good.
Right.
But you know, at the time it didn't really matter.
Right.
Back then, and coming from a small town, I didn't have a lot of resources, so I bought records.
Yeah.
You know, that long gone. Well, actually, they're on a comeback now. So.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I listened and I imagine, okay, I can kind of figure out what he's doing, and I think that art of listening has been lost, really, because of YouTube. And there's nothing wrong with YouTube. That's great, but I'd much rather see someone work on a tune just by listening and really kind of using his imagination. He might think of a different way of playing the same sort of thing that's unique to him.
You know, as you see, there's an inkling of drumming nerd in all of us, you know.
For sure.
It's a thing that's kind of natural, but have to balance it with the other stuff, man, because it's, you know, and take it from Joel, one of the most workingest cats on the planet right now. I mean, if I could only, you know, make you guys see his schedule and what everything he's done. You know, go check out, you know, everything he's done. It's an amazing career, and he's telling you what you need to know.
Here are my books of music that I, you know, guys that I work with like all the time. I got, let's see, it is in alphabetical order. This is the Eric Marienthal stuff. Eric Marienthal. I got a bunch of his stuff, and we always have special guests. So Paul Jackson Jr., Michael Lincoln, Rick Braun, all this mood jazz stuff there. There's Lorber.
Awesome.
There's a Lorber Stern thing in here because I played with them 2 years ago at Java Jazz. That's the L's. Here's
how many books will you say there's how many?
There's probably 150 here. There's probably another 150 here. And these I don't use as much. They're like bands maybe from the last 5 years. But these bands, I pretty much still work with all these guys.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you know, starts. And these are all sessions that I've done. Larry Carlton book right there.
Great. You know how many guys would like pay to see these books, man? That's insane.
Here, let's see. I mean, there's a lot of guys you guys don't even know.
Yeah.
Let's see, Frank Gambale.
Oh,
There's
great.
Gambale stuff because I used to work with him for about 20 years.
Wow.
Josh Groban music there. What do we get? Stu Ham. I was just out on the road with Stu Ham and Greg Howe this summer.
Great.
Anyway, that's where all the music lives. And then, you know, I hate to redo charts. So once I mark my parts on my charts, I got Demiola in here and Holdsworth, all the guys that I've worked with. But anyway, once I mark the charts, then they're here.
Right.
They're already marked. So if I get called again for a tour with them, then I just go here. Okay, it's ready to go. And I've saved about 2 or 3 days worth of learning.
Of course.
You know.
It's great.
So I keep all my stuff.
Hey, Joel, what's that up there?
Anyway, I mean, it looks like. But,
Oh, that's awesome,
but
man.
there's a lot of material in there.
What a collection, baby. Unbelievable. Wow. So,
Cool.
yeah, with that, Joel, man, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I'm sure the readers...
And welcome back to LA.
Thank you. Thank you, LA, boy. All right, cats. Thanks for watching. Peace.